Hey friends, it's Marie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a way to create a set of cards, and these are some really easy techniques and some really basic supplies that most of us have in our card making stash. I just thought I would take this technique and make 3 different cards just by changing up the style a little bit. So this technique is so easy. I'm basically just using painter's tape and lining it up on my card front, lining it up with the grid on the back of my tonic glass mat, and I'm creating small stripes. Now each of these stripes is about 1/2 inch wide, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink blend some stripes on, and I've gone ahead before starting my stripes and I've picked different colors of ink that I think coordinate and go together. I've kind of swatched them out on a scrap piece of paper so I know how they look against each other on this piece of paper, and I'm just going to go ahead and ink blend them out. Now I will later on give you a shot of the different colors that I've used, because right now I'm just kind of focusing on showing you how I'm taping off my stripes and how I'm kind of getting them lined up. Now I've done this technique in the past and I've kind of changed up the card look a little bit. I've done wider stripes before, and there's a few different things that you can do with this technique that is really fun. So I thought I'd give it another shot and make a few cards out of it. So once you have your stripe all inked up, go ahead and peel your tape off very slowly. I like to kind of start from the top and then just really peel it back on itself and just do it really slowly. And then once I have my tape off there, I stick it down on my craft mat and I take a wet baby wipe and I wipe off that extra ink that's on this piece of tape. Now if you leave the ink on there and you switch colors, it's going to kind of transfer over into the next color you're using, and you're not going to get a clean color for each stripe. So it is really important, if you're going to reuse the same piece of painter's tape, to go ahead and wipe it off. Otherwise, if you want to, you can get a new piece, but I just find it easy to work with the same 2 pieces for my whole card front, because I like to make sure my painter's tape is not super sticky. I actually take it off the roll and I rub it on a blanket or on my pants or sleeve or something to kind of get a little bit of lint on there. I don't want it super sticky because I don't want it ripping my paper. But once you have your first stripe on, you've kind of cleaned off your tape, you're just going to go ahead and cover that first stripe with 1 piece of tape and then move your second piece of tape over, in this case 1/2 inch, to keep each stripe the same length, and then go ahead and ink blend your next stripe. So this is really easy. It's just a few pieces of painter's tape, a little bit of cardstock, and some inks and ink blenders, and you can make a fun striped background. You can change up any of the colors if you want. A lot of times for color inspiration, I'll go to Pinterest and just type in like different colors or look up some different color schemes or things like that, just to see what other colors people like to put together. And then since I have a variety of different brands of ink, I'll kind of just go look through all of my different inks. I kind of know what I have, so I'll go through and find colors that I think might work together. And like I mentioned before, I did use them on a piece of scrap paper beforehand to see what they looked like before I went ahead and ink blended them. So for these 3 stripes, I'm using a dark blue, sort of a mid-tone blue, and then a lighter blue, and I really like how they work together, going from that lighter tone to the darker tone. And you'll see I'm going to make several cards today, one with just the blues, one with just pinks, and then this one's going to have blue and pink together. So it's really fun. And I'm also going to put a sentiment on top using dies from Trinity stamps. And it's just a really simple card using basic scrapping supplies, card making supplies. Excuse me. So I've got that 3rd stripe on there. I'm peeling my tape off to reveal my 3 blue stripes. I really love how they look. You could leave it as is, but I've gone ahead and created a whole card front using pinks as well. Now that one card front on the right there, that was my original one. I ended up not liking those colors, so I changed up my colors. My first color was scrapbook.com's blue. The second color was from Nuvo, and this third color is the Deep Sea from scrapbook.com. And then moving into the pinks, I'm doing Coral Reef, I believe, from Distressed Ink. I'm doing some Gina K's. I think this is I don't know. It's a pink from her spring collection. I'd have to go look at that color again. I'll try to have some of these posted down below. And then the last one is this pink sugar from Nuvo. Sorry guys, I'm really bad at reading those names. I should have had them ready before this video. So I'll try to have those linked down below if I can find them on links. Anyway, so I mentioned I'm using some Trinity stamp dies today. This is their Hugs die collection or die set. And you can take these hugs apart, but I've left them together because I just like to cut out the whole word, and it's easy to have all of the letters and you can just cut them all out at once. Keeps them in place when I'm running it through my die cutting machine. I've also cut out that little sending, and I really love the font on this scripty font. I've cut that out several times out of black cardstock because I am going to stack it up on each other and make my cardstock sentiments a little bit thicker so they pop off the page a little bit more. So since it's such a thin scripty font, I'm using a fine tip applicator with this bottle of glue, and I'm just putting a little bit on the front of one of these die cut sentiments here. I really love this fine tip applicator for these really thin, fine little fonts. It makes it easy to put just a little bit of glue on here, and the applicators you can get for, I think, several different sizes of bottles. This one I believe is a 1 ounce, maybe a ½ ounce, but you'll just want to look at your bottle before buying one, see how big it is, and then get one of those applicators to fit that bottle. Just pay attention to the ounce size, because when I search for the fine tip applicator, it says whether it's for a ½ ounce or a 1 ounce bottle, so just pay attention to that if you're looking for one. So I'm lining up these two sentiments here, kind of squeezing them together to make sure that they'll stick. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my hugs sentiment. I'm stacking up several layers on these as well. And this is a great way to get more dimension with your letter dies and your sentiment dies without cutting tiny pieces of foam adhesive. Just cut the sentiment several times, stack them over each other, and it's going to build up those layers to get it a little bit more dimensional than just a piece of flat cardstock. So I think I added about 3 layers to this hugs. I think there's about 2 layers to the little sending sentiment, but you can add as many layers as you want. You just want to be sure to remember, if you're sending this through the mail, less bulk might be better. So maybe don't put too many layers on there unless you want to just deliver it by hand to someone. So once I have all of my sentiment pieces stacked together, I'm going to go ahead and arrange them on front of my card. My little hugs here, I'm kind of adding it at sort of a curved angle, and then I'm going to add my sentiment right over the top. And that's pretty much going to be this card. I know it's really simple. A lot of the work went into the ink blending, but sometimes it's nice just to have a really simple card with just a few basic card making supplies. And like I mentioned, after I'm done with this one, I am going to show you how you can kind of change up this design just a little bit, tweak it a little bit, to get a few more cards that are in a similar style but are also unique, and then you can put them together to create a set of cards if you want to give them to someone. So if you're liking these ideas already, make sure you give a thumbs up so that I know you like this video, and comment if you have any questions or comments or anything. So I have my little sentiment all glued down here, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this up on a card base. So I have an A2 size card base that is top folding, and I'm just going to put a little bit of foam adhesive on the back of this card front that I've just finished. My card front is trimmed down a little bit smaller than my card base so that I'll have a little bit of edge around it. I've used some scrapbook.com foam adhesive. I love that the backing paper comes off super easily, and I'm just gonna pop that on top of my card base. Now that finishes my card, but I am going to add one more little thing. So if you're like me and you lose the little dots on the top of your I or your J's and you can't find them, I just use a little bit of black Nuvo dots and I add a little dot just to finish it off. You're not really going to notice unless you really look and you notice that it's glossy and not matte like the cardstock, but really if you don't pay attention you can't even tell, and even if you can tell, it still looks good. So I've gone ahead and I'm making a second card, and I've just used the pink colors and I've put them over on the right side of my card, and I wanted to show you that you can add a little bit of subtle pattern over your stripes by using stencils and some white pigment ink. So this is a stencil from scrapbook.com. I'm also using scrapbook.com's white pigment ink and an ink foam blender applicator, and I'm just putting a little bit of ink on each of these hearts that are over the stripes. So you're not going to tell too much difference while you are stenciling. You're going to kind of think that this is doing nothing, but when you pull off your stencil, it does add some really subtle hearts over those stripes. You're going to see a little bit of that pink still shining through, but I really like that you get those subtle little hearts over those stripes. I think it looks really cute. You could do this with any kind of stencil you have. I've used big and bold stencils, and I've also used smaller designs like this heart. Once I've had it all stenciled, I'm adding my sentiment just like I did before, putting the hugs and putting the little sending on there. I'm also going to go ahead and dot my eye with some Nuvo drops, and that pretty much finishes this card. I'm just adding this over my card base as well. And you can tell on the back of my card front, that's where I kind of swatched out all of my inks. I don't like to waste paper, so I'm going to use the clean side even if I've swatched it out on the back side. No one's going to know once you put it on your card front. So I've got that mounted on my card, so I have 2 cards done already, both similar styles, but they're a little bit different. They go together really well if you're making a set of cards. Like I mentioned, I have one more card for you today. I've done the ink blending again, putting my sentiment down. I've got all of my little sentiment words stacked like I've did before. The difference with this card is I've used my blue colors on the left side. I've put a little white heart behind my sentiment. I think it's really cute. It doesn't take too much away from the sentiment. It's still a really simple card. And I'm just going to add my little sending on front as well. And that kind of finishes my third card. I'm going to also go ahead and dot my eye on this one with Nuvo drops just to keep them all the same. And that really, it just finishes this set of cards. So just one simple technique, some basic card making tools like inks, foam adhesive, some blending tools, a few sentiment dies, and you can put a really simple and cute card set together to give to a friend or just to send to someone. I think we all need a few more hugs right now, so I thought these sentiments were really timely. So I've got that mounted on my card base with some more foam adhesive, and I've got 3 of my cards finished. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you comment, let me know what you think. If you have any advice, subscribe, comment, share, tap the bell, and do all the things. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.